We're getting set for the NBA draft. I'm with ESPN's Jay Bilas. Jay, I want to start by asking you, the Raptors have the 20th pick in the draft this year. What kind of player, what can they do to help themselves in that spot?
Well, I think at 20, you're going to get a good player. At least you have the ability to get a good player. I think it's a deep draft of very good talent. There are some younger players that may be down that far that have a chance to be very good, especially if a couple drop down there. I tend to think that a guy like Justin Anderson of Virginia, who had a great year before getting injured, he injured his left hand, his shooting hand, against Louisville last season, and then had an appendectomy when he's just about to come back. I think he's a steal in the draft. Rashad Vaughn from UNLV, another guy at that spot who's a wing shooter, kind of a two-guard that can really score. Not a great defender, but he can really score. Anderson's a great defender. And there may be a chance that Jaren Grant of Notre Dame is still there. So you got a number of players that can be starters in the league, and maybe more than that. There's always somebody, it's funny about this draft. I mean, I've looked at this trying to figure it out, and I'm not doing a very good job, but it seems like there are 6 to 8 great players that come out every draft, but and there are exceptions to that, but you just don't know where they're falling. There's no pattern to it, and there's no pattern to the mistakes that are made, if you want to call them mistakes. I think it's just really difficult to figure out and difficult to assess players, and you certainly can't measure heart and determination as well as you'd like.
We're getting closer and closer to the draft starting. Do you know at this point who's going to be the #1 pick?
I don't know. I mean, obviously from what I'm hearing from colleagues, our information guys that report that stuff, they seem to think that Karl Anthony Towns is going to go #1 to Minnesota. I favor Jahlil Okafor as being the overall best prospect because of his low post scoring ability, but you're not totally sure of it, and because Towns is better at more things, like he's the more complete player. I think both of them are going to be great NBA players, and but that's where I think the decision is, and I think D'Angelo Russell's the next player taken. So really, for me, the interesting part of the draft starts at 4. Now, if something upsets that apple cart, then the 4 pick's pretty darn easy because you take whoever's left over of those 3.
Now, you mentioned D'Angelo Russell, and you're on the record saying he is the best player available in this draft. What is it that you like about him that you have him rated as #1?
I don't like anything about him. I love things about him. I said he's the best pure basketball player. I hope people understand that. It's like saying a baseball player is the best pure hitter. It doesn't necessarily mean I think he's the best player in the draft, because I have 2 guys rated ahead of him in Towns and Okafor, but he's the best guard, and he's like a savant passing the ball. He just doesn't look. He sees things, and he's got I think a unique ability to score and an amazing feel for the game. He's not a spectacular athlete, but he's a really good one. So I don't think athletically there's going to be an issue for him in the NBA. It's like saying, well, Steph Curry, wasn't athletic enough. Clearly he is. I do question how good of a defender he's going to be. He didn't have a great year defensively. He's a little bit behind, but I don't see that being a long-term issue for him. I think he's going to figure that out.
Okay. Jay, thank you so much for your time. We will see you across Canada tonight, covering the NBA Draft 2015 on TSN and NBA TV Canada.